Hello and welcome to the House Einstein podcast. This is House Einstein podcast 98, and you may notice something a little different. We are actually here in studio at our office. This is our first in-person recorded podcast after 97 other podcasts. This is the first time we're doing it face-to-face and in person. Welcome to the House Einstein podcast.
I'm Hamish. You've probably seen me on a couple of the previous podcasts, but Osman, the first four were in person, weren't they?
That's actually true. Good point. The first four in the series, which was before your arrival at House Einstein, I did record them in person, but very different format, totally different content style. I don't really think of those as even the same genre, but they're interesting content for sure.
They are there. This is just, I'm like trying to avoid looking at our monitor here. We've got a bunch of cameras. If we ever go into somebody else's podcast, it's probably good training for us.
Possibly.
Yeah.
This podcast is going to be a little different than the previous ones we've recorded, and that is it's going to be short. And we're headed into the holidays. We've got a bunch of travel coming up for the business, our company retreat. And so we wanted to not leave you hanging with nothing. So expect this podcast to be a lot shorter than typical. And before we jump in to the podcast, I want to remind you as a viewer or listener that this podcast is entertainment. If you are a client of the House Einstein brokerage, please just reach out to your House Einstein agent if you need real estate advice. But for everyone else, this is entertainment. If you're considering working with an agent and you want to interview us, you can find us at houseeinstein.com. All the other agents on the team are also there, and you can learn a lot more about us on that website. You can also visit us on our socials, which are much more current than the website. So check out YouTube, check out Instagram, and we'd love to hear from you.
That's right. And this special episode, this short episode, we're looking at the nice word is the biggest negotiated discounts.
Right. Yeah. So for these short form podcasts, 98, probably 99, and 100, we're only going to focus in on one topic area. We're not going to do our usual 2-hour-long podcast. We're going to talk about only one thing. And in this particular pod, we're talking about the 5 biggest losers of 2025. And by biggest losers, Hamish was very polite to say the ones with the biggest negotiated discounts. And we still have 6 weeks left in the year. It's possible there will be bigger discounts coming. But in most years, the biggest negotiated discounts happen at the end of the third and about the middle of the fourth quarter. Between the end of the third and the middle of the fourth quarter is when you see the sellers typically capitulate pretty heavily. And it's usually a stale listing. They've been on the market for weeks, months, or in some cases years. And somebody comes in with a low offer and they finally have just reached the end of their limit and they negotiate a shockingly low price on a sometimes very desirable piece of real estate.
Yeah. And this market this year has been a little strange already. So I think, I don't know. We'll see. You've put them together, but I wonder if there's any losers earlier, maybe in the peak season or something too.
This podcast is sponsored by House Einstein. We serve buyers and sellers in Colorado, focusing on Boulder, Denver, and several mountain resort towns, including Breckenridge and Winter Park. Our mission is simple: help you make a smarter real estate decision. You can learn more at houseeinstein.com or our YouTube channel, where you'll find videos on neighborhoods, specific listings, and much, much more.
I am just setting up my laptop here to record the entire screen.
Thank you for the cue. I asked Osman for that.
And so I can get it. It doesn't. Yeah, it does look like it's recording. It's not recording my voice, but it's going to record the screen, so you can see what we are looking at in terms of the data.
Oh, and you emailed it to me.
And you'll have access to that. We might do it as an inlay on the screen. So our first property is 1445 Moss Rock Place, and the location of this house. Yeah, you're looking along. Okay. Yeah. The location of this house is just west of 19th Street and really just south of Norwood. There's that little it's not a cul-de-sac, but it's like a circle. And some of those homes have amazing perches, the ones that are on the north side in particular, and that is this house. It was completed in 2016. It's 4,300 or so square feet, has a conventional layout with most of the bedrooms on the upper level, 2-car attached garage, and a bigger than typical lot at almost 10,000 square feet. Tri-level design, which is not everyone's favorite, but it does. There are many appealing tri-levels. And this particular house was first listed. Well, let's talk about when the owner acquired it first. Let's bump into that really quick. So the owners acquired the house in 2022 for $4 million. And they acquired it in December. And they listed it in October of 2023. So this is not even a year later, right?
Oh, yeah.
They put it on the market for just under 5.5. And nothing happened. So first mistake, listing it in the slowest time of year. October, November, and December are incredibly slow months of the year. But they listed it at 5.5 and nothing occurred. They expired the first listing after only 4 days and then refreshed it again with a new MLS number. And you can see that if you're looking at my screen. They listed it on October 25th of last year, again at 5.5 or just under 5.5. And nothing happened all the way until April when the listing was withdrawn. And then 2 months later, the listing expired. So some of you might be wondering, what's the difference between expired and withdrawn? Withdrawn means there's still an active listing agreement with the listing agent. The seller has just decided they don't want to sell it right now. It's not happening. We're unhappy with the service, or we just don't think the market's there. We're going to go ahead and withdraw it, but we may not relist it with you. And the listing agent says, hold on, I still have a listing agreement.
Does that it stops counting days on market though, right? If it's withdrawn?
No, it's still really? Counting days on market. You can see that. All right. And at the same time, they did something concurrent. So April 30th, they pulled it off and withdrew it. April 15th, they relisted it. This is May 15th of this year. So they pulled it off April 30th. They relisted it 2 weeks later at 5.5. And I'm not going to pull up the MLS numbers to see if the agent is the same or not. It's not really relevant. We're not going to focus on agents. But the old listing was still active. Sorry, it was in withdrawn status, but there was an active listing agreement up until July or the end of June. The effective date is June 30th. The day it was modified was July 1st. But on May 15th, it was back on the market. And it went under contract finally in September, on September 26th, still at that full 5.5 list price. And it eventually sold for just $4.2 million. So they didn't even cover their commissions. They owned it for 3 years. They bought it in the peak or close to the peak of the frenzy, right? So December 2022 was 8 months after the frenzy. And
they tried to sell it the year after buying it too.
Right.
Right.
They did. And there's nothing wrong with this house. It's a very attractive home. If you flip through the photos.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's modern. It's got the perch. It's in a good spot. The high end of the market, particularly above 3, is saturated in Boulder. So it's extremely unlikely you're going to see a sale price that appreciated between 2022 and 2025 for most luxury homes in this price range. And this is an example of that. Pricing it at 5.5, I like to call that aspirational pricing.
Yeah.
And it does set a market signal. We think it's worth 5.5. And of course, it creates that anchor for the buyer that's the starting point. And clearly this buyer offered way below that. They may have only offered 4 or even less.
Yeah.
And the seller, of course, would have said no to that. And they ended up arm wrestling to 4.2. We don't really know how long the negotiations went, but this was the biggest negotiated discount of the year. And you're looking at a negotiated discount of 23.6% from the last list price.
From their ask, yeah.
Which is an astounding discount.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost wondering if they're doing the math and they're like, okay, if we cover most commission, I mean, they're not even covering commissions, but it's just not going to feel good as
nobody wants to sell for less than they paid for, and at least they made more than they paid for the house. They did live in it for a year, but they did ultimately lose money on their acquisition based on the cost of the transaction. But I guess what's more important as a take home is you have to be really careful with aspirational pricing. And a lot of listing agents, particularly at the high end, like to promote aspirational pricing.
It's like a luxury trademark almost.
And they even market how high of a list price they've offered the house at. And it's sort of smoke and mirrors and nonsense. Like people...
Funny money.
I mean, they're hoping for the dumb money to come into town, fall in love, and say, oh, it's only 5.5, no problem. But the
No
dumb
fault of
money
the
that
home.
invests
It's
at that
a
level
good-looking
is
home,
very
but it's
rare.
not worth
More typically, it's people that say,
5.5.
okay, it's listed at 5.5. Let's see what they paid for it. And the market's been going down. Why would I even pay what they paid for it?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's their starting point in the negotiation. And marketing to people's lack of intelligence, we just don't favor as a company. But it is a conversation to have because there is luxury marketing that says the price is a key component of the marketing strategy. It sets that anchor. It sets the expectation of how it competes. But in this case, I think they just grossly overpriced it and just never corrected.
Yeah.
Okay.
No fault of the home. It's a good looking home, but it's not worth.
It's a beautiful house and a great location if you're on the North Perch side in particular. Mm-hmm. So 1521 Mapleton is our next biggest loser. And I guess it's not a nice way of putting it, but it's a mouthful to say biggest negotiated discount.
Yeah.
And we already talked about this listing in a previous pod because we were shocked at how little it sold for. So it's in the 1500 block of Mapleton. It's on the north side of the street, but newer home built in the late 80s. And it's a great spot. It's right around the corner from Sunset Boulevard, which is one of Boulder's most prestigious locations. But this house is not historic. It's also on a very small lot, only 4,400 square feet. Decent house, though. 3 bedrooms, 5 baths. 2 of those bedrooms are on the upper. One is an additional. I'm not sure exactly where that 3rd bedroom was stashed. 2-car attached garage. And when you look at the photos, you see a house that is functional. Like they could have repainted the interior and the exterior. Both look very dated in their color scheme. And the kitchen also looks very dated, very conventional. Some of the layout stuff they couldn't have fixed because they could have, but it's very expensive to get rid of a sunken living room, for example. Right. But there's nothing really wrong with this house.
You don't want the sunken living room?
Most people hate them.
Really?
Yeah, they don't like them. And they're a trip hazard.
They are that.
They're very much a trip hazard. So let's look at the listing history of the house. The owners acquired it in 2015. And it looks like, based on the transfer record, the sales history where there's 0 sale price, likely this is a family transaction. There's something else going on for why it's 0 sale price, but they've owned it for 10 years. That's the takeaway. They bought it in 2015. And although I guess technically that's 11 years.
I'll say realtor.com is a mess. I can't get a single read.
Yeah. So let's look at the listing history per the MLS. They first put it on the market in 2022, September, again, heading into the off season, 3.5 million. This was that year that things were frenzied and peaked, but they missed the peak by about 6 months. The peak was in March. And then by early December, they cut it to 3.25. By March, they cut it again to just under 3. And then on April 12th, the first listing expired. And then the same day, they put in place a new listing, likely same agent, and kept the same price. Now we're into the spring selling season and into the summer. And on June 13th, they withdrew it just for a day, which is very curious why you would pull the listing for just a day. And when I see things like that, I usually assume there's some disagreement happening with the listing agent.
Okay, yeah.
Like you're having some major argument and you've just withdrawn it until you can get your head clear, right?
It's wild, but
we usually don't have those types of blow up reality TV style
Not since
arguments
I've been here.
with our clients, but something happened here where they pulled it off for one day. Then they brought it back at 2.75. And the fact that withdrawn thing happened right before they cut the price by $250,000, that says something, $49,000. And then that listing expired. We're still in 2023, people. This is like old news, right? This is July of 2023. So it was off the market for a period of a little over a month, and it comes back on at 2.695. And to not shame agents, we're not going to talk about whether agents got fired or not, but there's a good chance that's what happened. That's why it took a while. But they brought it back in September. Nothing happened. They pulled it off in February. And then that listing expired as well in March of 24. They the same day that listing expired, they brought it back, same price. And then June 29th, the very end of June, right before the 4th of July, they withdrew it for one day. Not even one day. The same day they withdrew it, it went back to active status. So again, you're seeing this weird pattern of behavior. Nothing happened that summer and into the fall, and that listing expired. I mean, they did cut the price to 2.5 in July. Okay. We're now finally this year. So from November of 24 to January of this year, it was off the market. It came back on at 2.5. Within a few months, they cut it to 2.45. And finally, to their happiness and joy, it went under contract April 11th. But guess what? Buyer number one decided they didn't want it and almost certainly terminated during their inspection period. There's a video we've been working on called The Mistakes Sellers Make and how to avoid them, and not addressing all the likely inspection issues before it goes under contract is often a cause for why it breaks up, because there are so many things a seller could have done to get through the inspection process before you locked in a buyer. But once the buyer is locked in, they're paying for the inspection, and they find things that they just don't like that you could have fixed, they're going to feel like the home wasn't properly maintained, and they're very likely to terminate.
They'll have more distrust on it. I'm also, you see this house, the last two, constantly listed year after year, price adjustments. I mean, at this point, that's just I'm begging for a discount type of listing.
Yeah, well, especially if they've owned it for a long time and they've got lots of equity in the deal.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, I mean, we didn't look at what their equity position is because it traded at zero. So,
right.
But we're going to assume, given how long ago it traded last, that there was lots of equity in the deal. So now you're looking at multiple years on market and likely high equity in the deal, and a seller that's probably really frustrated. Yeah. But particularly because not only long on market, but buyer number one bails out. Okay, which primes the pump, by the way, for buyer number two. Buyer number two comes really in October of this year, and they put it under contract on October 25th. And it finally closed November 10th at just $1.9 million. And so that negotiated discount is our second largest loser, 22.4% below list price, which is an astounding value for Mapleton Hill. That price is...
Yeah, good point.
I mean, it's a functional house. It has a rare 2-car garage. It was built in the 80s, so it's not actually historic, which is, I mean, it might look historic on the outside, but it's much more, it's newer. It needs less maintenance. It's a great house, even though it may not be the most aesthetically pleasing, but you are in virtually the heart of downtown, a couple of blocks away from Pearl Street in the 1500 block for 1.9, only $620 a square. I think they stole this is one of those, they stole the house.
Oh, I'd be laughing.
Like the last one where we talked about on Moss Rock Ridge, that was much more like, okay, they got it for what the value was.
Right.
They got it for market value at 4.2. This one, they pretty much stole the house.
Considering what Mapleton goes for and that location and I mean, that's your swing set's there, right? Your favorite swing set in Boulder?
My favorite. There is the one on...
it's on a tree. It's like a...
There is... I think my favorite one's on Highland Ave.
Oh, Highland. Okay.
That's my favorite swing set. Yeah. That's in Mapleton Hill, but it's a whole bunch of blocks to the west.
A swing set index coming to a place near you.
There are videos of me on that swing set. Yeah. Okay. Number 3. 772 16th Street. And Hamish, I wanted to talk to you about this one before the pod, because I'm pretty sure our clients were looking at this one and got beat out. Remember, they ended up in a different historic house that needed all sorts of work.
Yeah. Wow. This one needed the discount. I haven't even looked at the discount
So
yet,
you saw this one in person, right? Yeah. There's now only one photo of the front. You can't see the inside of the house. It's a historic house built in the 20s. The location is just across the street. Well, it's close to Chautauqua. It's not directly across the street. It's at 16th and Cascade. So it's a short walk to Chautauqua. It's a short walk to Social Trails. It's a little close to students, but it probably isn't too bad as a location. The historic nature of the house, it's gorgeous historic architecture, means that it's probably going to get the scrutiny of the historic review people.
It's an active listing now.
It's relisted?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it relisted at?
1.55.
Well, that's interesting.
Now that it's an active listing,
we can't discuss the active listing. We're talking about the sold listing. But the question is, do the photos look different? Are they remodeled it?
It looks flipped.
Did they flip it? Okay. So our clients were looking at acquiring this house and living in it, and they got beaten out. But it was marketed as attention investors, sold strictly as is, estate sale. And the buyer locked it down for just $1,010,000 cash deal. And this is, I think, why we lost it, was because we lose to cash and you lose. Our client was not cash, and our client wasn't going to waive all contingencies.
Right.
And I think that may be what these buyers did to get it. but they got it for $1 million 10, which is a negotiated discount of 19.2%. A phenomenal negotiated discount. The listing itself was not that stale. It hit the market August 29th at 1.25, and it was on the market officially for 10 days, but it was under contract well before that. And I think they priced it really well. And now it's back on the market for 1.55. So we can't comment about the active listing except in our newsletter.
I am biting my tongue so much.
I bet you have things to say. Because tell me about what it looked like when you saw it.
Yeah, I don't. We didn't offer on this one. They decided against it.
Oh, okay.
I can say that they ended up with Mariposa, right? Because we covered that one.
I think we can say that.
We didn't say the
I
address.
thought they offered on this. They didn't offer on this. Okay.
Boy, did it need work. When we were there on this old listing, were cracks spanning the entire length of the house up through the walls, over the ceiling.
Like structural.
Yeah. There was just a lot of work that needed doing. The basement was like a hobbit basement. It was very short. And then yeah. When did this sell?
It closed on September 25th.
And it's November and it's already back
2 months, less than 2 months. Well, that's the model, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are a professional house flipper, you try to get that work done in a 2-month period. And you don't pull permits unless you have to, because that slows down the process.
Right.
And that means you're not moving electrical, you're not moving water, and you're just doing a cosmetic on it, as one of my Australian clients used to say. Just did a cosmetic, which means it's lipstick, on top of.
And the previous listings photos are gone off of Iris.
I noticed that. Yeah. Are they still on?
I can't find the older listing.
They're not on Realtor.com?
Only the new ones.
Yeah. So we can't comment on the active listing. So let's stop right there. Yep. Other than it's been flipped, and maybe I'll take a look at it in person, and then we can put that in our newsletter where I do talk about active listings. We just don't talk about active listings on the pod.
So overall, though, it looks like 1.25 listed at and sold for 1.01. Pretty hefty.
Yeah, huge discount. All right, let's move on to our next one. 2210 Meadow Ave. And this listing is in Carolyn Heights. So it is just east, it's between 19th and 26th Street, north central Boulder. And you're just north of Calmia, if you know where that is. So a very nice spot in Boulder. It's quiet, not fantastic views typically in this neighborhood, and definitely not as high profile as, say, Newlands. But this was a really large house, 9,600 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 6 baths, sitting on almost an acre lot. So 35,000 square foot lot. And the home was built in the 60s. And what makes this home really interesting is just how dated it was. When you flip through the photos on the inside, it is like, clearly it was remodeled maybe in the early 90s or the early 2000s. Like the kitchen was redone at that time. But and some of the other aspects of it, like the fire surround was redone, some of the built-ins. But it has this giant pool house that looks like Hugh Hefner Party from the 60s.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's got the hot tub, the pool, all of it's inside. It's sort of Playboy Mansion-y.
Do you see that spiral staircase? I thought it was a pool slide at first, like a water slide.
I don't see a spiral staircase.
It's one of the first few photos.
Of the pool?
No, of the home. I think it's like right after the entryway here. We're in person.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see. Yeah, that staircase is funky.
Dude.
That is
this
right.
House is funky.
Very funky 60s era house is the bottom line. So what happened with the listing? Let's first talk about the ownership of the house. And it was acquired in 2009 for $2.9 million. And plenty of time, plenty of equity. Clearly did not do much of any work since 2009.
Yeah.
And
willing to agree with you there.
The home was listed in 2024 for just under $7 million. And it was listed at the right time of year, May 29th, but nothing happened. By 3 months later, they cut it by $1 million to 5.95. And then in November of 2024, it was withdrawn. Let's fast forward to this year. So at least I will give this seller credit. They are aware of the seasonal cycle. They're not trying to list a premium house in the off season.
7.2 million.
Yeah. Well, Oh, we're I say 6.9. You see 7.2?
Oh, I thought you said 7.
No, 6.95 was the original list price in May of 2024. So let's fast forward to this year. They bring it back in February at 5.3. So they cut the price another $600,000, $650, and nothing happens for 3 months, and then it goes under contract. And that it went under contract May 13th, and it finally closed. And this was not a fourth quarter or third quarter sale. Yeah, it closed May 29th at 4.3. And so that 4.3,
massive 4.3.
Yeah, I mean 4.3 is not a lot of money for a house this big in this location. And that is a 18.9% negotiated discount. Were there additional concessions? It looks like there were not. It was a cash deal.
Okay.
So, I mean, only 448 a square, giant lot, interesting architecture, very large house for at least by Boulder standards, and right in the center part of town, 4-car attached garage. I think that the owner could put $500,000 in, and it will just blow away everything else in this price point. But
this isn't unincorporated Boulder, is it?
It should not be.
Okay. Even if it is, I mean, the size of the house gives you a lot of room for...
I mean, there are little weird pockets of unincorporated Boulder, but what Hamish is alluding to is that there's a moratorium on large houses in unincorporated Boulder County. And Boulder has restrictions too, tied to lot size, among other things. But this house, it's hard to build large houses in Boulder. This is a large house. So there's a premium for that. And I think the aesthetics are interesting enough that you could remodel this and have an amazing house right in the center of town. Yeah. So I think this was very well bought. With that said, as I've said it previously, there's a ton of listings above 3, and buyers have so much selection and negotiation leverage. And when you see a pattern where they've owned it for they've listed it for multiple years, they have tons of equity, and they're probably ripe for a low offer. And in this case, they certainly were. So kudos to the buyer.
$1 million off
for locking it down for $1 million discount. That's really what it should be. It's like that $1 million listing. Yeah. It should be $1 million discount
on the thumbnail.
Okay. Our last and final biggest loser of 2025 is 1860 23rd Street. And this is such a bizarre listing. So it is just to the south of Goss Grove. It's not in Goss Grove, but it is also very much subject to potential flood risk. Let me just do the overlay really quick.
That whole area, right, is flood zone?
So this house is showing up as not in the flood zone. The flood zone's to the east.
Flood prone.
But the flood mapping through the MLS is outdated. To double verify, we need to go to the city maps. But it looks like it's not in the flood. And it also was not listed as in the flood. Oh, no, it was listed as 500 year, moderate risk.
Okay.
But it's 2 structures, both of which are tiny, both of which are historic, that have been completely gutted and offered for sale at a very low price. Now, it's so gutted that you don't even see photos of the inside on the MLS. It's possible they were removed, but there's more photos of downtown Pearl
There's photos
Street.
on Realtor. So
are there?
Listeners, watchers, all the links in the description. You can...
What are the photos on Realtor? What does the inside look like? It says completely gutted.
Actually, no, you're right. There's nothing on the interior.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so the exterior photos you could see. But the listing says, it's been completely stripped. Interior of both. Bring your plans, bring your builder, bring your money, and bring your imagination, or demolish what is currently there. So this is the interesting part of the listing, is that there's no mention of having a demo permit,
right?
And yet she's marketing it as you might be able to demolish it.
It's a 1910 home.
Let me tell you that the city of Boulder takes its historic inventory very seriously, and if somebody who had a significant role in the city lived in this house, that alone could trigger that they will not let you demolish it.
Yeah.
So it might be built in 1910. It might be completely outdated, but the city has been known to force people to put back up structures that they demolished without a permit, including a shed. It wasn't even a house.
And it wasn't probably even like the original.
It was a historic shed in Mapleton Hill that they demoed and put in a basketball court and got busted.
I remember this. Yeah.
And the neighborhood loved the basketball court, but the city council said, tough, put back the shed. And so they had to put back a shed.
They're rushing back to Western Disposal and picking up.
Sure. They're like, how do you do? So buying something like this without the demo permit, thinking you can demo it, is really not wise. And in this particular case, let's talk about the listing history. Well, let's talk about the ownership first.
Okay.
So great location, by the way, proximity to downtown. Not great in terms of potential flood risk, 500 year, but at least it's not in the 100 year. And these particular owners looks like they acquired this house a really long time ago, like 1981. Leroy Moy acquired it, and it was in the Moy family until this year. And the house was listed at 8.25 in October of 24. Bad time to list. They cut the price to under 800 in November. Nothing happened until January when it went under contract January 15th. And that buyer negotiated basically 150,000 off, which is a discount of 18.6% below list. Phenomenal negotiated discount.
Yeah.
No additional concessions. The listing agent did represent both sides, which in my mind is always a question mark, but we don't really know what happened. So it's a question mark. It's not a red flag.
Yeah.
And $650 for two structures that need to be completely restored on the inside could be a phenomenal deal.
Land value, right?
But it's land value if you can remove the house.
Yeah. Big if.
And how many square feet are these two small buildings?
Looks like 1,000.
It's listed as 1,000 square feet, but you could do a lot with 1,000 square feet. And keep in mind, Sundance is coming in. Like, this is right in the heart of downtown. It could be a really cute little cottage. You don't need to build tons of storage for a home that primarily is used as a vacation rental, or is used as a second home that you occasionally
just light living, right?
Rent to Robert Redford's clan in February.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pro tip: maybe don't paint it blue and yellow when you bring it to list.
Pro tip: if you're going to list something that might be demolishable, get a demo permit.
Also,
or if you're buying it and it's been marketed as that, make obtaining a demo permit part of the contingencies.
Yeah, write that in. Yeah,
write it into the contract so that if the seller does not get a demo permit, you can terminate and get your earnest money back. Because the lot, for sure, is worth more than $650.
Yeah,
it's just we just don't know if this would pass historic review and it would be allowed to be demolished.
Yeah, if Boulder's with it.
The way to think about historic homes in Boulder is that you're not buying the house. You are caretaking this house that's a community asset.
What was the term we use? Like you're taking stead of it or something?
You are stewarding it.
Stewarding it, yeah.
You are the caretaker of something the community cares deeply about. Don't be surprised if you can't get that demo permit. Mm. Okay, that concludes this podcast. And thank you, listeners, for joining us for this very short form Biggest Losers podcast in the week before we hit Thanksgiving. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to find our other content, you can find us at Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Our website, of course, which has the link to sign up to our newsletter where we do talk about active listings. We hope the one in the biggest, I think number 2, not the Mapleton one, the 16th Street one. I've got notes for you on that. You're talking about 1521 Mapleton?
No, not that one. The one that I went and saw.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, we'll talk about that one. 772 16th Street in the newsletter, most likely, if I can get to see it before Thanksgiving week. So we'll let you know. But please check out our stuff. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.